In this video, I'll visit Srebrenica for the 30th memorial of a genocide that we never taught about in school, and a lot of people probably do not even know about it. An atrocity that took place in July 1995, 30 years ago, when more than 8,000 Bosnian Muslim men and boys were brutally murdered by Bosnian Serb forces. It's considered the worst massacre in Europe since World War II, now eclipsed by the Russian invasion in Ukraine. Recognized globally as a genocide, they were targeted simply because they were Muslim. Even though genetically they were similar and nearly identical to those who killed them, the Bosnian Serbs will walk you through what remains today: destroyed mosques, the intense police presence still found on the Republika Srpska side, and the janazah of 7 newly identified victims who will finally be laid to rest after 3 decades. And there's no better person to help us understand these places and the history behind the genocide and the destroyed mosques in this area is my close friend Haris Tagari, a journalist and a specialist in Balkan history, especially Balkan Islamic history. Let's take this journey together and never forget what happened here 30 years ago. A genocide. Assalamu alaikum from Sarajevo, Bosnia. Currently it is, what time is it? It is 2:45 in the morning and we've already started our journey to Srebrenica. It is a very important day in the history of Bosnia today. Oh, it was just meant to be me and Haris, but we do have some special guests from Malaysia.
Inshallah.
Introduce yourselves, guys.
My name is Muhammad and this is Ashraf, and then this is Haris.
Haris J.
Haris J.
We come from Malaysia.
Nah, nice man.
But I'm the real Haris though.
First time in Bosnia for you guys as well?
Yeah.
First time in Europe.
Oh yeah?
In Bosnia.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
الله أكبر الله أكبر ضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Assalamu alaikum fellas, we're currently about 30 minutes away from Srebrenica and I wanted to show you this mosque, and it has a very tragic story. It's a very historic mosque as well. So this mosque is actually an old Ottoman mosque and it dates a couple hundred years old. It's beautiful. Today it's sadly in an area where there's very few Muslims that still remain. This was once a predominantly Muslim area. Hopefully it's open and we can have a look inside, inshallah. You know, which is evidence that this place has been here for hundreds of years and there's Muslims and there's a community of Muslims for a long time. Bosnian War, like many of the mosques, in fact 900 mosques, as we mentioned earlier in this documentary, were destroyed systematically by the Serb forces. It wasn't, you know, by chance, it was by design that they destroyed mosques like this. And it's a very beautiful mosque, actually. It's typical Balkan Ottoman mosque. Now the Ottomans would always build their own style of mosques in different areas of the world, and they would make them in accordance to the customs and the traditions of the place. And this was one of the many very traditional Balkan mosques, and sadly it was destroyed, flattened to the ground. And of course after the war in the early 2000s it was rebuilt and repaired and renovated back almost into what it exactly looked like. However, it still, you know, it still misses the memories that were cherished once in this mosque. You still have many of the old Ottoman graves that they were able to dig out and rebury the people that were once here. There's a beautiful mosque inside it. I think it's closed now. But even the imam, actually, you know, this is a vibrant community. The imam of this mosque, I met him a couple of weeks ago. He studied in Damascus. So there was a whole thriving Islamic community here in Bosnia, and there still is today. But this is their attempt to degrade that influence. And they, of course, the best way to degrade Islam is by destroying the visible signs of Islam, and that was the mosques.
As you can see right here, the mosque was built in 1643, destroyed by the Serb forces in 1993, and rebuilt in 2010. Wow, subhanallah. It's a very beautiful mosque as well. Wow. So these are the graves that Haris was talking about. As you can see, they had to be reburied because of what happened. Subhanallah. You can see some are fresh, some are quite old. The white ones are quite fresh because they've been relaid, even though the people died in 1969, from what I can see, 1961. But they look very new, the tombstones, because they had to be relaid. Unfortunately, this is the case in this part of Bosnia. We're still an hour or 45 minutes away from Srebrenica, so that's where today's event is going to be, inshallah. So let's get back on our way, guys. Harris, what is that green flag right there?
Yes, this is actually people mistaking it for the Pakistani flag. It's not. It's not a Pakistani flag. We're in the Balkans. This is the flag of the Ottomans in Bosnia, originally, historically, but now it's the Islamic community in Bosnia. So across all of the land which is owned by the Islamic community in Bosnia, or the Waqf, is basically they have this flag, and it's on all of the mosques.
Wallah, brati.
No problem, whatever he says. Okay, so round about where we are now, on the road to Srebrenica, there used to be a propaganda church. And the propaganda church was built over the ruins of a Maiko, a mother's, an old grandma's house. So when the grandma came back after the war, after she was, and her family were ethnically cleansed from the region, I believe she was one of the only few that survived the onslaught. She came back and she found a massive Orthodox Christian Serb church on her literal house. So what she decided to do, and it's a very unique story in Bosnia's history, recent history, she went to the court and she appealed and she said, get this church off of my house. I have no problems with churches. You could build any church you want. I have no problem with Christians, not on my own house. And alhamdulillah, she managed to get that church destroyed through legal means. And they destroyed the church, and today she's able to have her property once again. But it's one of the many evidences and reminders that we have here in the Republika Srpska that they came here and they made it as if Muslims were never there. Removed any evidence, removed the masajid, removed their houses, removed their gravestones. It was particularly a reason that an action in which they did, and then they would build their own propaganda churches on top to present that the Muslims were never in Europe. But Muslims were in Europe, and they have been in Europe, and inshallah they will forever be in Europe.
Inshallah.
Just random people, and they want you to look at this and think, oh my god, the Serbs were the victims. I don't know about you, but you can't claim victimhood if you've done 3 accounts of genocide multiple times within the space of a few years, and then be trialed in a court for crimes against humanity, and then claim victimhood. Logic doesn't logic here.
Logic isn't logic.
Logic isn't logic in Srpska. So yeah, ignore all these.
You can see the police presence as well. Plenty of police cars with policemen standing. As you can see right there, there's a policeman standing.
He doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, and then every corner, as we're driving through, we can see it. See one, literally 100 meters down the road. There's another one here, which is crazy.
Just to remind you who's in charge, and just to remind you that we're gonna herd you like cattle to your place of grave, cemetery, whatever. It's like they're ushering us in like ants, basically. Lined up on the roads.
It's crazy. There's so many pictures as well, like
to make you feel sorry.
Yeah.
No, thank you. October 7th, our flipping argument.
Wow, they go for lines and lines, man.
I'm telling you, these goes straight up till the thing now.
Oh wow. We can see literally they're in every single corner. I'm not even joking. Like, there's one here, and then look, there's one there, then there's one there. It is crazy to see. Why is there so much Srpska police presence? Like Harris said, just to intimidate you, just to let them know, just to let you know who's in charge. It's crazy. So, I've currently reached Srebrenica, and as you can see, people have camped out here because of how crowded it gets and how busy it gets. We've arrived early. The time currently is 6 o'clock and we left at 2:30. But as you can see, people have been camping here all night, and over there as well. Wow. I thought I was dedicated, but they've come here a couple of days before and they've camped out here. My first time in Srebrenica actually, and it's actually very beautiful. Look at the mountains out here, man. Wow. Subhanallah. What a beautiful sight. Assalamu alaikum, guys. Today is the 30th anniversary of the Srebrenica genocide here in Srebrenica, Bosnia. 30 years ago, over 8,000 Bosniaks were killed. Why were they killed? Just because they were Muslim. That's the main reason they were killed by the Bosnian Serb forces in 1995. And in this grave that we're standing right now, there's over 6,000 bodies buried here. And there were 8,000 plus killed during the war. This is not a war, just a war, but it was a genocide. Killing of Bosnian Muslims just because they were Muslims. When the genocide happened, the Serbs scattered the bodies around everywhere, buried them in different places, cut them into pieces and put them in different places. But today, they have identified 7 more people, 7 more families who now have the peace and who have the closure. So today, that's why we're here. We're here for the Janaza. We're here for the 30th anniversary of the Srebrenica genocide. A genocide that is not talked about anywhere. I didn't even learn this until 2 years ago. So yeah, follow along guys. Today is going to be a very interesting day and we're going to educate you on this genocide that only happened 30 years ago. This was the second biggest genocide after World War II. This is the Srebrenica genocide. This graveyard just goes and goes and goes. As you can see, it spreads all the way across there. Over 6,000 graves currently in this place, and over 8,000 Bosnian Muslims were killed. Wow. Many families still don't have the closure of whether their sons and husbands or fathers died or not during this genocide. But alhamdulillah, today 7 more people have been identified, and among them is a 60-year-old Bosniak woman. So it was not only men and boys that were killed, it was also women. Some, not many, but some. It's a very important fact to state that many are still missing and many are still unidentified. But today, 7 families get closure. Inshallah, we're going to pray the Janaza. Alhamdulillah, for me being here, as you can see, there's massive TV crews, many news. There's also a lot of politicians coming to attend this ceremony today, the anniversary of the 30th anniversary of the Srebrenica genocide. So, as you can see behind me, these are one of the 7 graves dug up, new graves dug up for the 7 people who have been named and found. It's crazy. Wow. And this grave here belongs to a 34-year-old man. His remains were found in 1998. But what did the Serbs do to his body? They chopped it up, put it in a grave, they moved it next week, and the next week they moved it again. So his remains are all scattered around. Couldn't find his remains until now. The family wanted to wait for his remains. And now, alhamdulillah, after 30 years, he's being buried in a dignified way, the Islamic way, as he was a Muslim and he was killed because he was a Muslim. Also, among the 7 people who are being buried today are 2 teenagers as well. This is genuinely crazy. The Serbian militia not just killed older men, middle-aged men, they killed young guys. They killed many guys the same age as me, just younger than me. It's crazy to think. Wow. These are all the names of the martyrs who were killed by the Serb forces. As you can see, the names go as long as over there. This whole circle. Wow. As you can see people as young as 18, 19. Wow, subhanAllah. Killed during their teenage years, which is meant to be the years where life really starts, to bloom and you start to grow. Wow, subhanAllah. You can see people who have died when they were 70, 65. You can see people born in 1930s, 1940. Crazy. Wow. Yeah, we never, when I was in school, I was never taught this. I didn't even know this genocide until 2 years ago. It was crazy. I had to find out doing my own research. Wow. I can see a person born in 1924, a person born in 1978. So when he died, he was 17 years old. Wow. 19 years old, 50 years old, 45 years old. Wow. Right behind me are the 7 people that are going to be buried today. Subhanallah, I got chills looking at that, man. Imagine being killed just because you're Muslim. Imagine being killed just because you're Christian, just because you're Jewish. It's crazy. Wow. It is genuinely gave me goosebumps. 7 bodies just lined up. Wow. It's crazy to see, man. And bear in mind, this only happened 30 years ago. I'm 22, 8 years before I was born. It's crazy. Right now, all the families of the 7 people who are going to be buried today coming and paying them their final respects. Then you have the rest of the people here, the ones who've already been buried, the families of these people. They come to visit their graves, especially during the 30th anniversary, so presuming they come here every year to mark the genocide and remember the loved ones who were killed by the Bosnian Serbs. So it is a very sad, emotional one there to see all the families. They already knew they were dead, they were gone, but to get that confirmation is something else. It is something I don't know how to explain. So, the Quran has been playing for the last hour, and it will be playing until the Quran is finished.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن
إمامي مالك شافعي أحمد بن حسن
صلاة الجنازة سلام لله تعالى الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
They are taking everyone to get buried.
godine ubijen u julu 1995. Hasid Adema Omerović, rođen 1961. godine, ubijen u julu 1995.
His father and his brother burying him now. The turnout today was absolutely amazing. So many people, Bosnians, foreigners, who come to pay respects, to pray the Janazah prayer for these 7 martyrs, for these 7 shaheeds.
istighfar.
الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم إلا رحمة للعالمين أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Assalamu alaikum. So now we have prayed the janazah for all the 7 people who were buried today. People as young as 19, teenagers when they were killed 30 years ago, and an old woman who was 60 plus when she was killed. She was murdered in cold blood by the Chetniks, the Bosnian army. But alhamdulillah, after 30 years, these families have got their peace. They have buried their children, their husbands, and their mothers in peace and in the Islamic way. And inshallah, these people will go to Jannah. Inshallah. Thousands of people turned up just to pray the janazah here. This was a genocide committed by the Bosnian army. And we see history repeating itself currently in Palestine, in Gaza right now, with the Israeli forces occupying and killing innocent Palestinians. As I say, the Palestinian flag comes out, mashallah. But as you can see, all these are the 6,000 plus people buried here right now. 6,000 plus, thousands buried in other places, and many, many, many yet to be identified, yet to be exhumed, yet to be found. The bodies have not been found. So, Ashraf. So this is my friend Ashraf I met yesterday. He's from Malaysia, and this is his first time visiting Srebrenica. So what do you think about the janazah, everything, bro? What do you think about it?
So alhamdulillah, we just finished pray the janazah today after the Jumu'ah Salah, and we are very sad that the janazah from the 30 years ago and only put in the cemetery today. But alhamdulillah, we are happy today the janazah buried in the proper way. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, brother. Terima kasih.
And my message to all of you who've watched this video all the way to the end, it is now your turn. We've experienced it, we've shown you the beauty of this. Now you become a first-hand witness of genocide. This isn't, as I said before, a random, ordinary funeral. This is a funeral of people who were killed in violence with, people who are deeply, in hatred of Muslims. So if you come here, you bury these people, it happens every 11th of July, so come, bismillah, and witness it for yourself.
As we talk about this genocide here, we're currently witnessing a live genocide going on in Gaza right now. Innocent people being bombarded and killed in cold blood by the Israeli army. So
and it's very similar tactics that has been used in Gaza and that were used here in Srebrenica. So this was called a safe zone. Srebrenica was called a safe zone. The Bosniak Muslims were in the UN safe zone over there. The UN were going to protect them. And as soon as the Chetniks came, as soon as the Bosnian Serb forces, these ultra-nationalist thugs came, they said, all right, we're going to promise you safety. Just hand over the Muslims and we'll separate them, we'll give them food. We're not going to harm a single civilian. That's exactly what they said. And then the UN forces said, okay, we accept your promise. Even though they knew they were going to get slaughtered, and many of the UN people here actually said, yeah, they're going to get fully, killed. They're all going to get slaughtered like cattle. And so when they sent the Muslims out one by one, the Serb forces split them between two. The men and women were sent off who are old, like above 70, and then all the boys were killed, just slaughtered in the fields. So they call this a safe zone, just as the Israelis called Rafah a safe zone. And they said no person is going to be harmed, just as they said in Rafah that no one's going to be harmed, this is a safe corridor, no one's going to be killed. And they backstabbed the Muslims, they killed them, and they never kept true to their word. False promises of safety, both in Gaza and here in Srebrenica. That's why there's so many parallels between what happened here and what happened back in, what happens here and what's happening in Gaza right now. Many similarities.
So, as you can see, all these flags right here, these are the flags that voted yes in the referendum and in the voting system, in the voting process, to be recognized for this Srebrenica genocide, to be recognized as a genocide by the UN. 82 countries, if I'm not wrong, voted yes. So these are the 82 countries and their flags all being flown with pride here. But yes guys, this is a genocide that we're not taught about in school, and my job here is done. Assalamu alaikum.